Hello everyone, Mrhappy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mrhappy, aka Mrhappy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. Thank God only one person tried to say the whole thing last week. Anyway, so I figured it would be a pretty light question week because everyone's busy playing the expansion, and I was right. There aren't too many questions on the forums. I've already browsed through like the first 3 or 4 of them. So I'm going to see if I can just get through all, looks like 17 questions. So let's get started right away. Question number 1. Yo, what's the happy? Happy. Don't know how I didn't remember reading that. I've already read this question. Alright, I blacked it out. Question for week 46. Do you know what the new Nexus light values are? Also, what's a faster way to level to 60? Dungeons or side quests? They're probably doubled again. So Bright's probably worth what was worth 8 before. I think it's probably worth 16 now. And as for a faster way to level to 60, dungeons, Northern Thandolin has become strangely popular. Mostly because the fates in the new areas, while they scale according to the way Square Enix wants you to level, with 51 to 60 being a much longer leveling experience, they don't scale based on how far apart they are. And Northern Thandolin, all the fates are so condensed that it's become a premier leveling spot to like 55. Some people even go all the way to 57. I've seen someone ding 60 in Northern Thandolin. So side quests, definitely not a big way of gaining experience. You pretty much just do the side quest to get ether currents, or if you want to break up the monotony of doing dungeons, or you can go off and do leaves. Your challenge log's not really too valuable post 50, so I'd say use that on the new jobs almost pre 50. But if it's just between dungeons or side quests, dungeons, man, you just got to run quite a few of them to get a level. Unlike last week, I'm not going to try and daisy chain all the questions together. I'm actually going to do editing. Hey, Mrhappy. So I main a scholar, but when I first logged into Heavensward, I realized that they changed Celine. I'm liking the free AoE leeches, but I don't quite understand the other one, which buffs your attack speed. Does it lower the cast time of your attack spells, or does it affect healing spells too? Alright, so if you actually go over the ability while it's on you, it says exactly what it does. In fact, I am going to just log on to my scholar real quick and read it word for word, since I have the game up right here. So, summon Celine, Feywind, the tooltip, what the hell? Come on. Cast it, Celine. If you hover over the buff itself, it says weapon skill recast time, spell speed, and auto attack delay are all reduced. So it's skill speed, spell speed, and auto attack delay all in one. So it's all 3 of those stats. It basically took the old 2 buffs and combined them into a single buff, but it's only 3%. So hopefully that clears things up for you a little bit. Next question. Hey, Mrhappy. Hope your day has been fantastic. It's been a good day. Question for week 46. Now that the Heavensward expansion is here, how long do you think it will be before they incorporate add-ons? That sounds such a back burner for them. They care more about like the actual content within the game than releasing that API. We know they're somewhat far along with it, but I don't see it coming anytime soon, to be honest. They're just so focused on sticking to this 3 to 3.5 month schedule for content releases. They got Alexander coming up. They got some job balancing to do with the jobs, which I'm sure I'll get a question about at some point here. So I wouldn't expect it anytime soon, man. Just sorry to say. Next question. Hey, Happy. Thanks for answering my lore question. Sorry I didn't notice the first time. For some reason, comments on my mobile app are disabled. A lot of people have been saying that I disabled my comments. No, I didn't disable my YouTube comments. For some reason, not just mobile, but sometimes even when you're looking at it on like a browser, I think a certain browser, I think Internet Explorer does it. Sometimes it just says disabled. I've only ever disabled comments on a single video, and it's because the comment section was just people attacking each other. And that was several months ago, so I don't know. I haven't disabled my comments at all other than that. So with the release of Heavensward, Square made a lot of adjustments, but some of the biggest adjustments were to our skills. Seriously, I tried Garuda Hardmode with some new people, and it was not easy, like usual. Anyway, what are your thoughts on all these nerfs and how they might affect us down the line? And what abilities do you think they changed but didn't put a lot of thought into? I know Barrage changed, but the trait appears to be the same, and Wide Volley feels useless compared to Quick Knock now. What future changes do you think they should make? And also, why don't machinists get straight shot? That's actually a good question. I don't know. Maybe they just didn't want them having to manage another shot. They already have their own shots they need to manage for, you know, the damage buffs and whatnot. I think they didn't think Wanderer's Minuet or Gauss Barrel through all the way. I know some machinists that can do over 1,000 DPS on a dummy, but Bards seem to, I mean, Bards are also bugged to shit right now with Wanderer's Minuet. Well, just with Bloodletter and Reign of Death overall. I think they put some good thought into a lot of the changes. Just because it's different doesn't mean that they were outright trying to, destroy a job. They wanted to bring a lot of the jobs in line, which is why a lot of people who are upset with the flare nerfs, Summoner, yeah, it doesn't look like they're doing similar damage. It looks like Summoner's just destroying them. But other than when, like, Akmorn and Enkindle and stuff are up, they're pretty even. Like, if you just want to consider Pain Flare and Bane versus Fire 2 and Flare. I think it was some of the new abilities I didn't think through all the way. The potencies of Astrologian are another hot topic, if they're too low to make up for the buffs. I don't know. I've been healing as my Astrologian. So far, it seems fine. I got to see how it is at 60. I'm only 54 right now. I don't know. Some abilities. I don't think they thought Fellcleave through at all, because I don't know if they intended Fellcleave to be that ridiculously strong. But, yeah, it's pretty ridiculously strong. So I'm hoping they don't tune it back, but I have a feeling they might. Next question. Hey, Happy, just an FYI, if you were... Now, see, that's not fair. Now you're taking the questions, because you knew I was looking for the first question now, so you got me to read the first thing. Two small questions. Has there been any official news on implementing a flying mount roulette? I'm surprised. That seems like something so easy for them to implement. I don't think there has been, but I haven't been keeping up on the official forums after the launch. But that's something that's got to be easy for them to implement, I imagine. It's just, there's a pretty small pool of them. But nothing official, no. And besides that, what do you think about a customizable mount roulette? I've wanted that forever. I've wanted that because there's so many mounts I never want to use, but I do want a mount roulette because I end up having to switch my mounts on my bar every week or so. So I'm a fan of it. Even if it's just 3, like you're saying right here, I still, regardless, I used to be able to make a macro for that in World of Warcraft. It was a custom mount macro, but you could select the mounts that it would roulette between. So yeah, I'm a fan of it. I hope it happens. Next question. Hello, Mr. Happy1227. Only follow on YouTube. Question about your thoughts on Hyotan. This has become known as a useless ninjutsu as far as PvE is concerned. I know bind can be made useful if you have an organized group, but I'm mostly duty finder, so it doesn't work. Do you think it would be more effective or OP if bind wasn't broken by attacking the mob or prevented a mob from doing an attack when it charged across the room? What ability would you like to see in place of bind? I don't. It's there for its reasons. There's no other outside of, no matter what they add as that final ninjutsu, if Hyotan had any sort of other effect, it would then have to be factored into, you already have 2 AoE damaging ninjutsus. You have one that's over time that will do more damage, but then you have the one that's instant that'll do more damage if the enemies are going to die quick. You have Fuma Shuriken, which is good if enemies have a magical resistance or a weakness to physical attacks. And also, it's just generally good because it doesn't cut into the global cooldown. You have Raiton, which is only a 2-parter, so it doesn't cut in as much. Does magic damage, so it benefits from things like foes. And it also has the added effect of being magic potency. Then you have, Hutan for your self-buff. And I feel like I'm missing one other than Hyotan. Fire, Earth, Wind... Oh, Suiton. And then you have Suiton for... How could I forget that? That's like the most important one. Suiton for, your mid-combat trick attacks. Hyotan is there to be the PvP skill. Every job has a few skills that seem useless in PvE, and it's not changed since then. So I would not want anything in place of Hyotan because in PvP, I want that bind. That bind has saved my life so many times. Doesn't have to have a dual purpose. It's fine the way it is. I don't see any reason to change it. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy. 2 more questions for next week. First, do you ever think we will see weather or time of day affecting mobs? Unfortunately, it kind of already does. With the hunt, some of them only spawn during certain weather conditions or after certain weather conditions have been met, like double rain and central shroud. But I would like to see some sort of dynamic thing, like enemies that only appear in a certain weather. But people tend to not like that because then they tend to tie those enemies to quests and stuff, and people then sit around for hours and hours and hours waiting to find their weather, or they go to talk to one of the forecasters and see, okay, my weather's not coming for 2 hours. Guess I can't do this quest. I think they learned their lesson. People haven't really enjoyed weather-related content. Bismarck is almost like weather-related content, but he forces a weather change, so it's not quite the same. So I don't see them doing that anytime soon. They just got such a negative feedback from sightseeing logs, and fishers can put up with it a little bit, but not for more than what's already in the game. Second question, are you ever going to throw a Phoenix down to Healer Happy? I missed your Let's Play series and would like to see it back. It actually is not going away. I took a break because I was finishing up some things before Heavensward, and now I'm in Heavensward. I got to get ready for Alexander Normal and Savage, but once Alexander Savage is cleared, Healer Happy will be making a resurrection. I already have the Steps of Faith recorded on him. I did record the Steps of Faith and the Chrysalis before Actually, I think, did I ever release the Chrysalis? I don't know if I ever released the Chrysalis on YouTube, but I already have those done from back in patch 2.55. So it'll just be a matter of blazing through the new main story, doing some of the new quests and whatnot. And oh, I'm not looking forward to the Moogle quests again. That'll be my 3rd time doing them. Yeah, he'll come back. Next question, what's that, Mr. Happy? First time asking a question, Big Hankin Poetics bonus. Give me a law bonus. I don't want your Poetics bonus. I have plans on getting my Dark Knight to 60 after I finish with Black Mage. How do you go about acquiring the Dark Knight Relic Gear? There isn't any. There is no Relic Gear. The level 60 Relic Gear that everyone thought was going to be in the game at launch is not. People are assuming it's Esoteric's Gear, which is the Tombstone that'll be out on like July 21st or 23rd. I don't remember. And then there's no level 45 or 50 AF gear. There's also no relic weapon for the new job, so you don't have to do anything. Just level it, and you'll be fine. Next question. Hello, Senor Feliz. Longtime follower, first-time asker. Sorry for my English. This question is not much of a question and maybe a spoiler for patch 7.0 in 2020. Let me read the question, because there might... If it's a spoiler for that far down the line, there has to be some sort of context that is in the present. I just recently noticed that the story of the hero, us, is always narrated on past time. This is usually used on novels and storytelling. This means that at some point we will be the greatest hero ever born and the bards will tell our stories. And then you think we will catch up to the now part. We're not talking about our stories in the past. There's parts in Heavensward where one character is talking about our stories in the past, but that's not us. That's somebody else in the main story, and it's presumed that that is an event that's taking place at the end of Heavensward or something like that. It is definitely some event in the future that is causing it to call back, but I don't think it's that far along, and it's not us, the character. We don't ever look at ourselves sort of in the past. We may refer to the Warriors of Light of past, but that's not us referring to our past. That's them referring to the Warriors of Light from the past. Hopefully that made sense, but yeah, that's not happening in the game really at all right now. Next question. Hey, Happy, long-time watcher, first-time asker, Poetics bonus. No! Give me law! I don't even need law anymore. My question is about Dark Knight viability as a tank at the moment, as it seems they are outclassed by others in both the main tank and off-tank role. You think they will be viable for any content, or might they get left behind, which would suck as I'm having so much fun playing the class. Don't want to be shunned doing content because I'm a Dark Knight. Also, screw the Moogles. Be thankful you're not Dark Knight level 58 job quest is literally taking a piss. I think a lot of people are giving Dark Knight a bad rap more than it should have. There's a lot of people playing the job that don't fully comprehend how to play it, and there's a lot of people who are going out saying, it's not as good a main tank as Paladin, it's not as good as an off tank as Warrior. First of all, no one's as good of an off tank as Warrior as long as Fellcleave's in the game. But I've played with some excellent Dark Knights, ones that make Paladins look like they're squishy. It's a very, very careful balance. Playing a Dark Knight properly is probably harder than playing a Paladin or a Warrior properly. But when you get that Dark Knight that knows how to manage their MP, how to mitigate damage, it's like the difference between a good Dark Knight and an unskilled Dark Knight is this. A good Dark Knight makes a Paladin look squishy outside of Hallowed Ground. A bad Dark Knight is like a Conjurer with Provoke. They're just going to die immediately. And it's funny because Dark Knight doesn't even have Provoke built in. It's cross-class skill. But no, I think Dark Knight it looks better as a main tank so far. It looks like they are more designed to be a main tank. But with Hallowed Ground in the game, no matter how good a Dark Knight's mitigation is, or can be when played correctly, Hallowed Ground, man. And also, it's hard to debate that the Paladins' consistency with Sheltron and their old cooldowns. It's not like Paladins are bad, but a well-played Dark Knight, they're in a pretty good place. They're like the main tank that... I don't want to say this because I can't back it up. They're like the main tank that does the most damage. That's not true, is it? It might be. I don't know. That feels like the role it fills. Like, you know how Warrior used to be a better DPS as a main tank, with Paladin being better as an off tank. That used to be the preferred way to get the maximum raid DPS. Probably not the case anymore with Fellcleave. It's probably Paladin main tank and Warrior off tank. I'd have to talk to some people first to confirm that. But Dark Knight feels like it could be the main tank that does the most damage. Like, that's how it feels to me when I see them, a good Dark Knight playing in a party. But needs more time. I haven't played it for myself, so these opinions are almost completely based on things other people have told me. And your question is probably based entirely on what other people have told you in terms of their usefulness. I'd say just learn to do your best. Don't Don't run out of MP and turn off grit at 0 MP and not be able to put it back on. That's the #1 thing that keeps getting Dark Knights killed, and the rep of them being squishy. I see so many lose grit and be at 0 MP like, I couldn't turn it back on. It's like, don't let it happen. Just don't let it happen in the first place. I think you'll be fine if you stick with Dark Knight. If anything, if they are behind, if Square Enix deems them behind, they'll be buffed. So you have nothing to worry about. Next question. Hey, Happy. First time asking a question, but long time listening. However, before I ask, I just want to say thank you up front for being such a driving force in the 14 community. Keep up the great work. Will do, my man. I see that law bonus right there. I see posts 1 right under your name. Welcome anytime, my man. Random statement before question. I like many others love the Final Fantasy job system, especially in the one from Tactics. I feel like I can't get enough of jobs classes added to 14. However, with MMOs, I often wonder how many can be added until everything starts to lose its identity. I like this. Question 1, will we see another X-Pack with 3 or more jobs being added? Also, do you think Heaven's Word will see a patched-in job towards the end like Ninja? Question to the second one is no. The question to the first one is also, to me, no. They can't. They literally can't do it. The next one will have to be like caster, range DPS, and something random. Unless they start implementing either a support role or a tank role. I mean, because here's the thing. You have to think, World of Warcraft has, what, like 11 classes now, each with the ability, some of them with the ability to just play like DPS 3 different ways. Some of them could be tank, healer, or DPS. I guess the question becomes, do they, instead of making new jobs, do they start implementing ways for you to play a DPS Paladin, or to play a DPS Scholar, or to play a healing Dragon? That's not serious, but you know what I mean, like to give them multiple stances to do multiple things, as opposed to adding new jobs. I think they want to fulfill people's fantasies more than necessarily care about the identity. As long as the job has its core identity, even if it performs a similar role, that seems to be the more important thing to them. I don't see how they can keep adding 3 jobs in expansion though, and still keep them feeling unique. But you gotta look at World of Warcraft does it. World of Warcraft has, like I said, 11 different classes with, on average, 3 different specs, and they somehow keep it all interesting and relevant. Square Enix can have plenty of ideas. The bigger problem is that they want everyone to be so equal. Like, they want it. They let any class can go. But when you have 16 to choose from, assuming they had 3 in the next expansion, people start looking at the numbers a little bit harder, a little bit closer. So it's hard for me to say. And question number 2, do you think we'll ever see advanced jobs? Yoshi P actually said he wants advanced jobs at some point, but Yoshi P has, that's one of those ideas he throws out, like one day it would be cool to have like advanced jobs, like have white mage and black mage turn into red mage. But those are just things he spitballs, not guaranteed ideas. The only one that seemed kind of weird is when he said he wanted a hybrid role, and to make the 4-person party size of 1 tank, 1 healer, 1 hybrid, 1 DPS. And I was just like, that seems so stupid, because how are you going to balance that? How are you going to balance something around which hybrid they decide to bring? Unless hybrids can only be between like DPS and healer, or tank and healer, or something like that. I don't know what he's planning on doing, but yeah, maybe one day. He's said he likes the idea. Next question. Hey, Mrhappy. I've done that before where I type Mrhappy instead of Mr. Happy, and considering I am Mr. Happy, that's pretty embarrassing. Ninja sucks, is what I would like to say, but do you think so? Knowing the Dragon, Summoner, and Warrior being OP, and how do you think the new ninja skills will get buffed? Or will we see the awesome Aeolian Edge that doesn't have positional again? Ninjas are great right now. If you know how to do your rotation, a ninja is amazing right now. They're not at the very top, but with lag, it's never were. With lag, I think with my 180 weapon and still like 4 or 5 pieces of like 160 gear even. All the rest being I-180. I was able to do anywhere from like 1100 to 1125 over 4 minutes. So with I haven't seen with my I-190 weapon, but it's hard to tell. No, the new skills fit right in with our old rotation, so it's easy to pick up the new skills and learn them. Armor Crush is massive in terms of our potency per minute that we're allowed to output. Dream Within a Dream and Duality being on a 90-second cooldown is kind of lame. I think Dream Within a Dream being 300 potency on the off the global cooldown, 90 seconds is okay. Duality also very strong, so it's really hard to say. They're all really good skills, and Ninja's in a good place. I don't see them getting a buff. I don't see any need to give them a buff. On top of the fact that now they have the enmity tools, the trick attack, they still have gold. None of their utility went away. They got more of it. So I sincerely don't see any reason to buff Ninja, and they're not going to do it. Next question. Hey, Haps, first time asker. See, this guy, he said pose/law bonus. Listen, you're already ahead. You're already ahead of the rest, man. I have 2 questions. This first one has a spoiler alert, so spoilers, I'll try to remember the thumbs up. I promise I'll try to remember the thumbs up. All right. Who are the 7 children of Midgard Summer? Oh, never mind. That's not that big of a spoiler. They've been talking about the 7 children of Midi for ages. I'm not doing. Here's a thumbs up now because it's something that they've spoken about before. So we have Nidhogg, of course, Tiamat, Bahamut. So I know Bahamut is. It's a weird thing because there's a piece of art that shows the 7 children. We have Nidhogg, Tiamat, Hraesvelgr. I can't remember the one that begins with an R, or I just can't pronounce it. And there's 3 other ones that are supposed to be scattered across the world. And it seems like all 7 of them look the same, but they're different colors. I know at least one of those other 3. I just can't remember it right this second. The one that begins with R, I just can't pronounce. I know Bahamut was a brood sibling of one of the dragons. I don't know if that counts as being a child of Midgardsormr. Because I remember the wording of it, and it's something a little bit different. We know who at least 4 of them are. There's 3 more that we need to learn about. And oh, that was 2 questions. Who are the 7 children is Bahamut one. Oh, okay, that was both questions. That works for me. Those are my answers. Thanks for answering. Keep up the good work. Thank you for asking the question. Next question. Hope you're having a good Sunday, Mr. Happy. I'm glad that they know I'm answering this on a Sunday. 2 questions if you don't mind. I don't. That's the whole point of the show. I've been wondering, repost rank 42, who's stronger, Bahamut or Midgardsormr? Coil made me feel like Bahamut was the unbeatable awesome force, but Midgardsormr just felt like, I don't know, he was there. Am I reading it wrong? Is Midgardsormr to the Dravanian horde like Bahamut was to the Meracidians, or are the 2 totally separate beings? I think Bahamut in his initial incarnation, when he was captured by the Allagans back in the 4th Astral Era, I believe. I think it was the 5th Umbral that was brought about by, yeah. So the 4th Astral Era, when he was actually the one captured, I think him and Midgardsormr were probably near equivalent in power. Actually, that's not true. He was probably weaker than Midgardsormr back then. But with all the years of encapsulation in Dalamud and the people who, the dragons that prayed to him or that wanted salvation from him, probably fueled his power over the millennia. And he probably, in his more recent incarnation, is more powerful than Midgardsormr was. I don't see Bahamut getting destroyed in the way that Midgardsormr did 15 years ago. Yeah, I think 15 years ago. No, I just don't see that happening. But probably back in the day, Bahamut was probably the weaker one, and now Bahamut would probably be considered the stronger one. Even in his only like half full form, he's probably the stronger one. And the second one, who's the strongest primal of them all? I'm pretty sure that's, well, Alexander might be. We haven't really dabbled in it, and you can't just go based on the level of the enemy, because the main story doesn't go, oh, you're leveling up. The main story kind of acknowledges that you're a strong force and that you're growing stronger, but they don't literally go, okay, well, Ravana's level, 54, so I mean that's stronger than that's stronger than Bahamut, right? And of course you have the main story facilitating, Bahamut Prime, being weaker, being a lower level and having less HP than like the level 60 enemies. That's gonna happen with progression. I think if you were to just compare the both of them, I think Bahamut would probably be the strongest, with Alexander kind of encroaching upon potentially being the strongest. But we haven't seen enough of him yet. Despite only being 18 questions, much longer video. It's because I have the time to answer the questions more adequately. Hey, Mr. Happy, I'm an Nin main. I'm a bit disappointed about the state of the job, with 2 of the skills being enmity skills, the other being very long cooldown. I have a very bad feeling we're going to have some major TP problems when it comes to the new raid. Compared to the other melee DPS, I feel like they are now at the bottom. My question is, do you think Nin's going to have a problem keeping up with the other 2? Not at all. I mean, Ravana's not a very good example because Ravana jumps a lot, and therefore monks don't tend to do that well on fights that jump that often. But Ninja's in a pretty good place right now, like I was saying before. Just because the skills don't show it, Armor Crush is way bigger than it seems. Like, on a per minute basis, think about it, you're doing 2 Armor Crushes a minute on average, that you're losing 80 potency to the Aeolian edges that you should be doing from the rear. But you're gaining an extra ninjutsu cast. You're either gaining 312 physical potency through Fuma, or getting 360 magical potency without accounting for foes or any other magic vulnerabilities that might be on the enemy. So, the damage increase is pretty noticeable over an entire fight. And as for TP issues, it's not going to be any different. I mean, we still have the same raid tools to regenerate TP as we did before. Our utility is still strong. Trick Attack is still strong. Goad is still strong. The enmity tools, being able to cast Quelling Strikes on like a healer that doesn't have Shroud of Saints or a DPS that's way too strong, being able to focus enmity on a tank will make everything a little bit smoother, but that's about it. It's now kind of a controller DPS where you want to control the flow of battle almost, and also make sure you're debuffing. Ninja is probably going to be in the top. Of the 3 melee jobs, I still think a ninja will always be taken, regardless of what the other 2 are. That's assuming you're looking for maximum efficiency. Then it'll be a choice between Dragoon and Monk, and some people don't really know which one to take yet. If Monk's Dragon Kick is going to be so valued that you wouldn't take the Dragoon, who are doing massive damage right now. Next question. Question for Mondays with Mr. Happy. Question number 1. No spoilers, but just have to know if your jaw was dropping to the floor the whole time during the cutscenes at the end. I actually did go back and watch all the cutscenes. You know, I skipped them all the first day because I didn't want to spoil my viewers. Yes, they were fantastic. I wish I could talk about it more, but the embargo that I have set upon my own channel and upon State of the Realm has not been lifted yet. Question number 2. This bard bug is really pissing me off. Yeah, they need to fix that. That needs to get fixed like this Tuesday or the Tuesday of Alexander Normal. Like, that issue cannot persist. They honestly, as soon as they have a fix for it, they need to like just hot fix it. Just say emergency maintenance, we're fixing it. Because it's terrible. The 15-second, oh, Bloodletting and Rain of Death, I'm sorry. And 3, which zone pisses you off the most when you unlock flying? For me, it was the Sea of Clouds. Compasses trolled me hard on one until turning. Listen. Nothing will piss me off more than the Churning Mists, because I hate Moogles now. I hate the Churning Mists. Next question. Hi, Mr. Happy. I'm just now getting back to the game since BC Turn 6 was released by Nicole. Before taking a long break, I used to watch your videos all the time. Thank you. I know you addressed this a few months ago, but in a video about Heaven's Ward came back, but just wanted to know your opinion about... opinion was now about continuing the Zodiac Weapon questline. If you want it for glamour, do it. If you want it because you think it'll help you in some way, shape, or form, don't waste your time. The new relic won't require the old one, and even if you do have the old one completed, it's only going to be a slight advantage. When they use the word slight, I can't possibly think of going back and putting myself through even the buffed version of that quest just to get a slight advantage, especially when I'm so busy doing all this other Heaven's Word stuff, leveling, and soon Alexander Normal, and soon Alexander Savage, and then PvP, because I actually want to see what the new PvP is like. Yeah, don't worry. Don't do it. And this is the last question. So, it actually didn't take that long. 28 minutes. And then there's like, there'll be a cut, but whatever. Nihao Shangshen Kaijin. I didn't say that right. Question for week 46. But first, I'd like to say keep up the great work. Thank you. Your videos are something I always look forward to, and you're probably the only YouTube personality I watch on a regular basis. Thank you. Moving on, what do you think are the odds we'll see a new zone area added in 3.x? I ask because I don't know the history of how updates and expansions went in 11, so I'm not sure what things are entirely unlikely, if 11's history is even relevant. It's not really, but I'll keep it in consideration. I feel as though we might be going into the Garlean Domain territory come 4.0, and while I know that it's quite a long ways off, it is possible we get a small area as a taste of what we'll be seeing. Or maybe they could expand to 2.0 areas even. Just what do you think? The only area I'd expect to see before the expansion, maybe like 3.5, is West Shroud. And there's not really a good reason for that. It's just, it's the closest area to where I think we'll be going next, which is Alamigo. Not Doma, Alamigo. Alamigo is the 5th city-state in Eorzea. And while they're generally considered savages by some, it's still the closest thing the Garleans have in terms of control over our territory. So if we can get Alamigo back, and besides with Raubon and Ilberd, they're Alamigan, and we have a lot of Alamigan characters in the game, and they're always wanting to fight back to get Alamigo back. I have a feeling Alamigo will be there. I don't see us getting new zones. I see us getting new, like, large-scale fates. Maybe a small new area, kind of like what they did with the Beast Tribes, where they would, like, send you onto a ship or an island that wasn't previously accessible. But other than that, I don't see them releasing an entirely new zone. Final Fantasy XI expansions would do that, but it was mostly because there was a lot of content to do in the open world, so releasing a new zone was them releasing new endgame, basically. And, well, those are all the questions I have on the DreamNet forums. So if you have a question for next week, be sure to check out the description of the video so where you can go there and ask your questions there on the DreamNet forums. What an awkward ending. Thank you, everyone, for asking your questions, and also thank you, everyone, for the support. Everyone's been showing a lot of support these last, like, 9 days, 10 days, while I've been cranking out videos. Finally got all of the PvE content videos. Now I have to start looking at things like, you know, guides, overviews, opinions, footage of things like the one tank, one heal Ravana, since I know a lot of people are curious about what that looks like. I got some work ahead of me, but I'm taking a break right now. I wanted to record this so I can relax for the rest of the night. Thank you, everyone. It has been a phenomenal experience getting to experience this launch with so many people on Twitch, on YouTube, everything. It's been incredible. So thank you, everyone. It means a lot to me to have people who still come and ask me questions every week. I thought this Monday with Mrhappy thing was gonna just like, people aren't gonna like it. No one cares. People just want to see some people just want to see the guide. Some people just want to see the opinions. People don't care. But every week, I'm still answering questions. You guys are still asking them, and we have a lot of Soul Tree bonuses. Well, now it's not Soul Tree, now it's Law, but thank you again. I will see everyone next week for Mondays with Mrhappy. Be sure to stop by my live stream as well, because we've been streaming a lot of leveling. And now my Astro is going to be 60, like, within the next 2 days. So I'll have an opinion video on level 60 Astro soon. Probably going to work on Dark Knight after that. Maybe Machinist, but I'm trying to level Machinist with my girlfriend. We'll see what happens. Anyway, I'll see you guys next week. And until then, take care.